Hi, Eric Gibaud, Gibaud.com, and today I'm going to speak about something that happens because a few weeks ago I published a video that says the 3 lies camera maker don't tell you, and it was about the very higher resolution, and many people commented that thanks to high resolution you can crop your picture in post-production. So we're going to speak about this. Let's start. So when I made that video I explained that high resolution is not always useful. Maybe it can be sometimes it can be really problematic, and many answered or commented that the good thing about high resolution is that you can actually crop your picture in post-production and you don't have to spend money on such high-priced telelens. And this is a big mistake. They didn't seem to be aware that this was not the same thing. So there are actually 3 points I want to state. First is one, you will really see a big difference between using a telelens and cropping. Another one will be the first 2 points, and the third one you won't see any difference. And maybe this is something when I answered in comment I didn't explain too clearly. Maybe it was misexplaining or misunderstood, I'm not sure. And it doesn't change whether you use one thing or you crop. Okay, if you use a telelens or you crop. So let's see each point. I'm going to show you test pictures I made with the Olympus OMD1 Mark III. I made a review a few days ago. Then also I used the lens 40 to 150mm 2.8 Pro. I also made the test, and it's equivalent of 80 to 300mm if it was full frame. So I'll show you the picture so you see a difference. First picture I made it at 40mm and the second at 150mm. Then I cropped the 40mm to have the same framing as the 150mm. So what can you see on that? Well, the first thing you see is first the depth of field is different. In one case it's really shallow, in the other case is about a bit deeper. Okay, so it means that if you were expecting to have the same shallow depth of field, by the way, there's a difference between shallow depth of field and bokeh. So I'll leave you a link here to explain. Some people are a bit confused between the two concepts. Okay, but if you were looking for a shallow depth of field, you can see you don't get the same one. So that's not good. That's not good. Well, it's good or bad, but you need to know it. Okay, to be aware of it. Then the compression is different. What is compression? Compression is the way the elements are stacked. Okay, in one case you see like some kind of space in between things, and the other case you really see compressed, really like it's like this. So it doesn't have to do with depth of field. You have everything. You can have everything in focus. It still look different. So you will lose it too. You won't have the same one. If you get a 50mm lens and you crop as if it was a 200mm lens, the depth of field is different, the compression is different. As you can see, the stone in this wall at 40mm, they don't seem as stuck together as 150mm. The compression, this is compression. Obviously it is just a wall with a stone like this, not that far from me, but if I was with a landscape, with several valleys, mountains, all this, it will be even more noticeable. You will feel that they're really compressed, really stuck together. In the other case, you feel like there is more space in between. And this is something that is completely impossible to do in post-production. In Photoshop, you cannot get that. This is pure optical, and you can do that with your camera with the right lens, not in post-production. So in many aspects, you will make a big difference doing with the right lens. But there's one thing that doesn't change, which is the perspective. Maybe when I answered, I didn't explain that well because some people thought that I was telling the perspective was changing. It's not changing. Actually, to change perspective, you need to change the distance between the camera and the subject. Even if you zoom, even if you use a different lens, doesn't matter. If the distance between the subject and the photographer or the camera is the same, the perspective won't change. It means if perspective is the important point to you and you don't mind the compression, you don't mind the different depth of field, no problem. You can crop and then you keep the same perspective. But we get to a big dilemma. Most people want to have high resolution camera they want to they spend a lot of money to get well, I know there are some smartphones with a high resolution. Well, let's speak about cameras. I've got nothing against smartphone. I use myself, okay, so for photography and video. But I mean, if we compare cameras, most people want high-end high resolution camera. They spend money, and most of the time they are full frame cameras. And they also tell you they want shallow depth of field. This is why they actually want a full frame, because they consider the depth of field may be shallower. So you spend a lot more money, and then you use a lens that has more angle than you need, so you will crop. So it means if you crop, you lose some resolution. This is what you paid for, but then the shallow depth of field you were looking for, you're killing it. You get more depth of field than you thought. So that's a serious problem. So I see that some people are aware of this, but many people are not aware of that. They spend a lot of money on good lenses for full frame, loads of money on a high resolution full frame camera, and then they start cropping. So I think this is no good. It means if you do it once in a while, because you don't normally do animal photography, and one day you have the opportunity, you make the picture, you don't have a telelens, and then you crop, that's not a problem. But if you're a person that is always cropping, it means you're using the wrong lens. You need to get the lens you need. For every job there is a lens, and for every lens there is a job. So it means you should get the right lens if you want to have the right aspect, because very often when you start cropping and cropping and cropping, it means you don't know how the picture will look at the end. You make your picture and you're not even sure how it will look when you actually make it in post-production. Photography, you can do post-production, it's really useful, it's very often needed, but the picture should be as close as possible at the end picture when you make the picture, so out of camera. So you should get the right lens for the job. So if it's just once in a while you crop, I don't see any problem, and you save money on the lens. But if you're really a guy that, I see many people saying, I want the new Fujifilm GFX 100 millions pixel because I can crop. No, get the right lens, because otherwise you don't get the look you wanted. So that's no sense. And many people getting 50 million or 47 million pixel on reflex camera full frame, same story. Okay, so this is not the same thing. Get the right lens. Otherwise, at least be aware of what you're doing. Don't tell me this is the same thing, but it's not the same. Well, I hope you like this video. It may help you. If you feel it may be interesting to other people, please share it on social networks. If you have not done yet, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. The small button down here, and also a small bell. If you click on the bell, get notified when I upload a new video. My website, ericgibaud.com. If you have any question, can leave a comment below. Also leave you links of my gear on Amazon, links to other parts of my YouTube channel, and a link to my PayPal account in case you wanted to make a donation. Thank you very much. Please take care of yourself, and see you soon. Bye.